Today we are talking about a world where your car charges faster than you can eat a 3-piece feed. Yes, KFC is on the menu. We're also going to look at the return of not one, not two, but 3 legendary Japanese nameplates. And some massive news for the 4x4 community that is really going to ruffle some feathers. There's a lot to talk about, so buckle up. All right, let's start with the most gloriously unhinged automotive story in the last 2 weeks. BYD, yes, the car company, has teamed up with KFC in China to work out a sort of fry your chicken, fry your battery sort of setup. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work, but yeah, you're going to get charging stations inside KFC drive-thrus. You could call this fast charge meets fast food, or bucket, battery and beyond, or, all right, I've got heaps of these, but I was told not to do too many. Okay, so the flash chargers use BYD's 1500 kilowatt charging hardware. This can add up to 2 kilometers range per second. That's quite fast. And can you imagine the heat generated? Oof. These super fast chargers work with BYD's new 2nd generation Blade battery, which is able to charge from almost flat to full in about 9 minutes. That's about the same time it takes to realize those 11 secret herbs and spices are actually just salt and pepper. Anyway, here's how it works. You pull up, you plug in, and the car's infotainment screen directly connects to a KFC app. It's embedded in the vehicle's software. It finds the closest outlet and places your order. It tracks your car, so by the time your battery is almost fully charged, the order is prepped and ready to go. The kitchen literally gets a notification when the battery hits 100% or close to. The idea being you get your food piping hot. No soggy chips and whatever else they make. Chicken, I guess. In Australia, we're still sort of arguing whether 50, 75 or 100 kilowatts is actually enough to charge your car. In China, BYD just solved range anxiety with a Zinger burger. Power to the poultry, you might say. And the scale? 5,000 flash stations have already been operational by the end of March 2026, and they're planning up to 20,000 by December. And they reckon they're going to have around 2,500 cities and 13,000 KFC outlets with this new technology all integrated. Yeah, pretty wild. So most people who stop to pick up their food are going to be able to drive another 320 kilometers after very little time at all. And the next question is, when is it coming to Australia? We don't quite know. Currently, these flash chargers that run up to 1.5 megawatts are only working with the 2nd gen Blade battery, and these are only available with the Fangcheng Bao Tai 7 and Tai 3 right now. More passenger cars will come, but that Fangcheng Bao brand is kind of rebranded as Denza in Australia. And they have indicated that we might get one of these new 2nd generation Blade batteries by the end of 2026, but we'll see. And I mean, even if we do get it, if we don't have these super hardcore flash chargers, then, you know, it's pointless, but But BYD is the #1 electric car brand in Australia right now, and the infrastructure always follows the product. The bigger point? While Australia debates about charging networks, government policy, and whether the grid can cope with a massive influx of EVs, BYD and KFC just turned 13,000 restaurants into a fast charging network. That is quite the tech demo. You can be sure I'll be following this story. It's finger-licking. All right, the Melbourne Motor Show. I was there, didn't go last year, but quite liked it. It's pretty big. Reminded me of the old days, back when Holden and Ford had all the cool stuff. Anyway, let's talk about what actually mattered. Because every year, these shows get written off as trade events, a PR exercise, a place where brands put their products on pedestals and hand out glossy brochures. And sure, there was a bit of that, but some years you see unexpected shifts. This year, what shifted was prices. Chinese brands didn't just show up at Melbourne, they came in swinging with numbers designed to make the rest of the market uncomfortable. BYD CL6 from $35,000. The Wagon from $39,000. Zeekr X now sub 50k drive away. GWM Ora 5 priced directly to fight mainstream established rivals at 33k drive away for an EV. These aren't aspirational figures. These are walk off the street and sign me up to finance sort of prices. The prices for EVs are going down and the choice is going up. But for me personally, the highlight of the show, the showstopper, was the IM LS9. And no, it's not a Chevy V8, sadly. IM is a brand that most Australians have probably never heard of, parked next to a brand they most certainly will have heard of. It's owned by MG, but feels about as close to that brand as a cardboard spoiler is to meaningful downforce. Indeed, the quality of the vehicle was mint. It It was loaded to the gills with luxury and tech and won't be anywhere near as expensive as a Range Rover, which is pretty much how big it is. In fact, it's probably a little bit bigger. The BYD Shark 6 performance and cab chassis models and the JAC PHEV Hunter Utes were both worth calling out separately as well. Because the question in Australia has always been, when does the Ute go electric? That answer landed at the Melbourne Motor Show. 2 plug-in hybrid Utes, one expanding its range into new areas, the other coming out for the first time. And then Honda bought the Prelude, $65,000. Hybrid, it's a lot to take in. It already had more than 4,000 expressions of interest before it even hit the Motor Show floor. So that's pretty positive. I'll come back to Honda later though. Here's my honest take from the Motor Show. The handful of legacy brands present at the event bought lots of new metal, while the Chinese bought low prices. And I did see a number of executives and whatnot from the brands that weren't represented at the Motor Show having a bit of a look and a wander around. I feel like next year, 2027, is going to be even bigger. A little bit of reconnaissance going on. And the gap between what's arriving and what Australians are actually buying is closing faster than most people in this industry are comfortable admitting. The Motor Show is never the destination, it's the preview. And this preview revealed some interesting trends. The Celica is back, but it could be called the Celica Sport, and it might have a hybrid or a petrol or an electric motor. Or none of them. Don't know. But it's coming back, and I just hope that it's fun to drive. I don't really care what powers it. I just want to be engaged. I want something that stirs the soul, you know? So let's set the scene. Rewind to 2024, and Toyota's vice president, then Yuki Nakajima, confirmed the Celica at Rally Japan. And he said, and I quote, "To be honest, there is no sign of it right now. However, there are many people within the company who are eagerly awaiting the Celica. So I wonder if it's okay to say this in a public forum, but we're doing the Celica." Mate, that's a Toyota global vice president saying something he wasn't entirely sure he should have said in public. I love it. It was killed off in 2006 after 36 years of continuous production. This is a nameplate that carries a lot of weight. It's got a lot of brand value. So since that call back in 2024 by one of the most senior guys at Toyota, there's been rampant speculation about what form this Celica will take. Will it be a lukewarm front drive hatch like the Honda Prelude? Or will it be a rear drive ripper like the Toyota Supra? There's been talk of a new 2-litre engine that could be shoved into that engine bay. There's been talk of that 3-cylinder turbo from the GR Yaris. That would be cool. But then there's like, oh, there's emissions regulations. Maybe we can't do it anymore. Maybe that engine's kaput. Yeah. But one thing we do know is how it will look. Sort of. That's because photos of Toyota's top secret new 2027 rally car have been exposed and it looks sick. It's kind of compact, it's kind of sporty, but it's definitely a coupe. I recently spoke with John Pappas, one of the bigwigs at Toyota Australia, and he said, "So I think if that car became available to us, we would definitely be looking at it, but nothing to confirm." That's big boss speak for, I've seen it, probably driven it, but right now I can't give away any company secrets. There's more, and I quote, "I love Celicas because I used to drive one. My first car, I had a Celica. My brother had a Celica. No joke, I had an 89 SX. My brother had an 85. Ripping car in red. Loved my Celica. We even had the Paseo. Remember that? Yes, I remember the Paseo. Let's hope that car stays relegated to the history books. Slow, dull, move on." But when the Celica does arrive, not if, but when, where does this leave the Toyota GR86? One of the coolest, most affordable rear drive coupes you can buy today. Maybe the GR86 stays with combustion and the Celica is a hybrid. 2 sports cars, 2 powertrains, 2 audiences. It could work. The question I really want to know though is, will Toyota's performance arm, Gazoo Racing, really let the Celica off the leash? Because if this Celica ends up being a compliance EV that pretty much just borrows the badge, that's not going to be good. The outcome ain't going to be good at all. Because that name will hurt more than it helps. It'd be like Holden's reborn Commodore. Remember the ZB? That was a marketing disaster. Reasonable car, terrible name. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know if you'd buy an electric Celica. BMW is building a Range Rover rival. They're calling it Project Rugged, quite possibly one of the most unoriginal internal code names I've ever heard. The brief is simple: go head to head with the Range Rover and the Mercedes-Benz G-Class. Now, here's the catch. Always a catch. BMW's full Neue Class platform, its next generation architecture, currently only supports full EVs. That might be a problem. And the Range Rover buyer in Australia, in the US, in the Middle East, not really asking for an EV. They want options. So BMW's solution is a beefed up version of their existing cluster architecture, which would be combustion friendly, monocoque construction, and not a ladder frame chassis like the G-Class. So it'd be more like Range Rover DNA than G-Wagon. The Senior Vice President of the Neue Class development, Mike Reichelt, I hope I've got your name right, said, and I quote, "In principle, we look at the market and we look at options to increase our product portfolio. That is one way to say, yes, Range Rover and G-Class sell in big numbers and they're hugely profitable and we want to get into this party. Let us in." Final decision is expected soon. If approved, the G74 gets access to BMW's super brain computing from the Neue Class program. So expect hybrid and combustion models. EV, less likely. Why does this new model matter to Australia? Well, because we punch well above our weight when it comes to luxury vehicles and 4x4s. If BMW greenlights this vehicle, we'll see it here in Australia for sure. The question is whether they can wean buyers away from 70 years of Range Rover equity. That is a tough ask. And now I want to run through a group of stories together because they all sort of point in the same direction. Toyota's LandCruiser 300 series performance hybrid has been delayed. I know. Stop the press. It was originally scheduled for March or April this year, and Toyota Australia's John Pappas told me it won't land until Q3. Now, to be clear, when it does arrive, I think it's going to be quite impressive. I'm very eager to drive it. We're talking about a twin-turbo 3.5-litre petrol V6 with 340 kilowatts and 790 newton meters, with an e-motor tacked on for even more torque. Why not? That comfortably eclipses the current diesel's 227 kilowatts and 700 newton meters. It also targets a near identical fuel economy figure of around 8.99 litres per 100 kilometres. Not bad for such a big rig. Plus, this petrol-electric hybrid LandCruiser 300 will also have the full 3,500 kilogram towing capability, and it will be sold exclusively as a 5-seater in Sahara, ZX, and GR sports grades only, which means it's not going to be cheap. $150,000, I reckon that's going to be the minimum. So that's my prediction on price. But here's what Toyota probably doesn't want me to say. While the performance hybrid LandCruiser 300 is running late, the new hybrid Prado is essentially dead in Australia. The US market gets a 2.4-litre turbo petrol electric hybrid Prado, which makes 243 kilowatts and 630 newton meters of torque. That's way more muscle than the 4-cylinder diesel we get here in Australia. That diesel does have the 48-volt mild hybrid tech, but those two hybrids are not the same thing, not even close. And for whatever reason, Prado sales are down almost 46% thus far in 2026. Okay, I got to wrap this up soon, but I cannot leave without talking about the new generation Mitsubishi Pajero. Yep, the Pajero is making a comeback imminently. It's been spotted testing in Melbourne and covered in camo gear, so you can't really make out the shape, but it looks good, it looks big, and pre-orders are said to be opening in September of this year. It's all moving very fast. First deliveries just in time for Christmas. Watch out, Prado. It will almost certainly be based on the Mitsubishi Triton platform. So that means it's going to have a 4-cylinder diesel with about 150 kilowatts and 470 newton meters. Again, very similar to Prado outputs. Plus, it'll have the Super Select 2 4x4 system, a very good 4x4 system. 3.5 ton towing, tick. 800 millimeter weighting depth, tick. Expected fuel economy under 8 litres per 100 kilometres, maybe. That last one is largely expected to come about because it's likely to get an upgraded 8-speed automatic from the current Triton 6-speed. So that should make it a bit more efficient, a bit more refined. We'll see. And now finally back to Honda, who fell from around 50,000 sales in 2018 to around 14,000 sales in 2023, is officially making a comeback. As mentioned, the Honda Prelude that made its Aussie debut at the Melbourne Motor Show has more than 4,000 expressions of interest already. That's not sales, but it is a positive figure. And it's bringing a K car to Australia for the first time. The Honda Super One Mini EV looks super cool, probably going to be super expensive. We'll find out. It's also the first full EV that Honda is bringing to market in Australia. It's taken its sweet time, but it could be a lot of fun. Honda Australia director Robert Thorpe says hybrid is core to the brand's mass market strategy, and they're not interested in discounting their vehicles, slashing prices off just to move volume and look good on the monthly sales charts. I respect the discipline. It's not an easy thing to do, but $65,000 for a hybrid coupe, front-wheel drive, pretty tall ask. How much is nostalgia worth to you? And that is a thread that runs through every story we've touched on today. Every legacy brand, every established car brand in Australia is running the same equation. Bet on loyalty, heritage, and engineering pedigree, because the Chinese brands are going to undercut everyone. Who wins that bet? The Australian buyer will ultimately decide. Thanks for watching, and I do this pretty much every week, except for last week, Easter. So make sure you subscribe if you want to keep seeing these sort of vids.